G'day cobbers, welcome back to the bush. In this episode of Lockyards for All Driving, we're going to show you how to splice winch rope. And I'll give you a red hot tip, it ends up looking nothing like this. So, we're going to show you a couple of different ways, one quick and dirty on the side of the track, and how to do it properly when you get home. So, let's get into it. Now, if you just want to create an eye splice at the end of your rope, something like this, we've already done that episode and I'll link up above and click that link and check that out. But otherwise, let's get into joining two winch ropes together. In order to pull this off successfully on the side of the track, you're going to need a couple of bits and pieces, and I'll show you them now. Firstly, the fast feed from Pandora. And the great thing about the fast feed is it actually has a mesh here. Unfortunately, it's in Freedom units for those of us in Australia, and it's also got a basket on the back. Works kind of like a Chinese finger trap. So once you've got something stuck in there, the harder you pull on it, the more it grabs onto that rope. Now I've got to try and get my finger out. There we go. You're also going to need a cutting implement. In this case, I'm using a knife. This needs to be sharp, razor sharp. It needs to be sharp enough to cut the hair off your arm. This stuff's an absolute bear to cut, so you're going to need a sharp knife or pair of scissors, and you're going to need a marker as well. So firstly, we've got our broken end here, and we're going to have to square it off. So you can see we've got broken fibres right up to here, so you need to get past that mark to where the rope sort of looks not too bad and cut straight through it. And even though this is absolutely razor sharp, that stuff's a bear to cut through. Alright, so you're going to have to do that to both ends, prepare both ends, and now we'll get on with our quick and dirty trail repair. So we've got the two neatly cut ends of our winch rope, and now we can get on with the joining. Now, this fit has actually got measurements on the back, and it tells you that 3/8 rope or 10mm rope, which this is, should have a bury length of 20 to 27 inches. And that's for a deep bury like we're about to do now. So you can use the back of the fit or a tape measure if you don't have one. So we'll go, that's 7 inches, 14 inches, 21 inches, and 6 makes 27 inches. And we'll get our black pen and we'll put a mark there. I might get a better black pen. So we'll grab our black pen and we'll put a bit of a mark there. Right around the periphery. Now we just need to double back. So we get two lots of 27 inches. And again, put another mark on that rope. So we know where the exit point for our fit is. Rightio. So now we've done that side, we need to do the other side. The easiest way to do that, of course, is just back to back with the one we've already measured. And right around the periphery again. And again, just double back on this one. Nice and quick. And put our exit point. Beautiful, job done. Now we're ready to actually do the joining. So with our ropes marked off, we can get on with the joining. Now this is the piece of rope going to my winch, and this is a piece of rope going to my eye splice, or traditionally where a hook would be. So what we do is we get the basket, we push that back, and we pop the rope down right into the bottom, and then we set the basket onto the rope. And we go back to our first mark, our first 27-inch mark there, and we run the fid through. We want about 6 braids on one side, 6 braids on the other. That looks pretty much even there. And then we just pass the fid through all the way until we get to our 2 marks crossing. So you can see that's our 2 27-inch marks crossing. We bring the fid back and we turn the rope over, and we go down approximately about 2 braids, and we pass it through the back side again until we've got a couple of braids on either side. Looks like I've split a braid there, so I'll give that another red hot go. There we go, that looks cleaner. And again, we just pass the fid through all the way. Okay, now we need to bury our tail. So we go back in again and we go into the rope itself and we do what's called basket casing, whereas we push the rope up and we pass that fid right down the middle. Now if it pokes out the side, pull it back in, give it another go, because you want it cleanly down the middle all the way to our second mark, which is right the way down here. But I'll fast forward that so you don't have to watch me doing it. Right, so we're up to our mark there, as you can see here. But now we need to go a couple inches past, or maybe 50 mil past, and pass the feed back out of the braid. And keep going until you got the basket completely out. Now the basket's out, we can pull the feed off, and then we have to do what's called milking it. So we pull our braid right the way through to make it as neat as possible up this end, and then we milk it down until the end of our rope drops into the center, which it now has, and you can feel it's terminated about here. But we've still got the other side poking out, so that's a bit of an issue. So what we do again is we grab the fid, bung it in the cage there, and try and get nice and close to the berry, and again push him right down the center. There's no need to go back and forth on this one, we're just burying the fid, burying the tail, sorry. And again, I'll fast forward this bit. Again, so we're up to our black mark, so draw it back in and run it down an extra couple of inches, just to make sure when we milk it back that our tail is completely buried. You can't really overbury. Okay, now draw the fid out nice and cleanly until the fid completely comes out of that rope. Then we just pull the cage back, and then we go back to our join in the middle here, make sure that's completely buried in as it is now, and then milk it again until we've got, there goes my drink, soda water, lovely stuff first thing in the morning, until we've got that rope completely buried, and it seems to bury sometimes a little bit further down from our mark, and it's buried here. And that's why I say go a couple of inches or 50 mil, maybe even 100 mil down further than your mark, and that way you're sure that your berry's going to be completely done. And that's a good field repair. That will take the full weight of the rope, no problems. Only issue is it's not self-locking, so this could come out when it's not under tension, so under handling conditions. When it's under tension, it kind of works kind of like one of these mesh traps or a Chinese finger trap, and that keeps it under tension, under load, working fine. But when it's under only a little bit of load, not so great. It can come undone. Some people put lock stitching in there. Again, it's a good field repair. Couple of issues, it's not locked here, and the end is just a dead end here. We haven't tapered the end, and that will drop the weight rating, so 10 to 15% I understand. So we want to taper the ends in our proper repair, and we want a locking repair here as opposed to just a lock that a splice that's going to work under load. We want a splice that's going to work all the time. So let's show you the final solution for when you get back home and you can do it under control conditions. Now for our permanent repair. Again, you're going to need a sharp knife to cut off the ends. Now this is our winch line end running back to our winch, and this runs to our eye splice, or traditionally a hook. I don't use a hook, but if you have a hook, this will be the hook side. Okay, now with a locking splice, the berry doesn't need to be nearly as deep, but this one's already measured off at 27 inches and 54 inches in freedom units, and the same on the other side, so I'll just use that. So you grab your winch line sight and we pop it into the fid, and we go to our 27-inch mark and run it through to our 27-inch mark there. So those two are crossing. Now this is where it differentiates a little bit. So you grab your fid again and you go up a little bit further and create a bit of a hole, and you want 6 strands on one side, 6 strands on the other. Now you'll need to de-spool your rope for this one, because you grab the end of your rope and you pass that through the hole. Then you have to run the entire length of your rope, and again I'll just fast forward this so you don't have to watch me doing all of it. So there we go. That's what we've ended up with, where we have the winch line here running to our hook, the winch line here running back to our winch, and if we pull on these two, that's locked. That is now locked. And we still have our two ends, of course, one still in the fid and one hanging out this way. Now it becomes familiar again. Firstly, we have to bury the tails. So on this side we go back down a couple of braids and we just start running down the center again. And again I'll fast forward this bit so you don't have to watch me doing it. And we'll go right past the end here. So we're at the mark there now, so draw it back in and run it a couple of inches past. Keep bird nesting away. That way we make sure that the tail is nicely buried in there, and pull the fid out. Now because this is a permanent repair, not just a track repair, we need to taper the end. And the easiest way to do that is just to grab your fid and start pulling out a few of the strands. So just like before, we'll pull out one there, we'll rotate it 180 degrees, we'll pull out one there. You don't need to be too pedantic about that. Shoot around back to the other side, pull out one there, back around the other side, pull out one there. We'll work our way down. That'll do. Now for the end of it, we need to put it on a taper. So again, grab our very sharp knife, we cut off the end, and then we just cut down the straggly bits. Back to the other side and we'll cut those three off as well. Making sure, of course, we don't cut our main rope. That would be a bugger. Okay, so we've tapered off our end here. Now we just need to make sure that this part is down into the rope, which it is now, and then we can just milk it back until we get that end buried in. Rightio, that's one side done. Now we need to bury the other side. So again, just grab your fid, bung it in the end here, and we go approximately 2 braids back in and start running it down the center. And again, I'll fast forward this bit so you don't have to watch me getting frustrated when it keeps poking out the side. And we'll run it right down to that 54-inch mark. Okay, so we're now down to our 54-inch mark there, as you can see there, but we'll push him an extra couple of inches, maybe 50 mil, maybe 75 mil. Doesn't really matter too much. And then we pull the rope through. Carefully until we got the fit out. Take off the fit, and then it's the same procedure about tapering the end. So, last 6 inches or so, last 150 mil. That one didn't want to come out. That's all right. We have ways to make it comply. And then one on this side. A little bit further up, and again one opposite, a little bit further down, and we'll do a last pair here. And of course at the very end we do a bit of a taper cut with our very sharp knife. So we'll do that one first. Geez, I think I'm going to have to get the strop out on this knife. I only sharpened it the other day. Shows you how tough this stuff is to cut through. Alright, and then we'll cut off all those little straggly bits. And again on this side. Sometimes I wish I was ambidextrous. Rightio. Alright, with that done, we got our taper there. We make sure that our rope is fully fed back in. And there we go. It's all the way back in, and then we just, again, milk it down until we get that end buried right in. And that's it. That's our locking splice. That is a permanent repair. That won't be coming undone. It's permanently locked and it's buried at 27 inches. 20 inches is plenty. You can't really bury too far. And that's it. Guys, if you like this video, don't forget to give it the old thumbs up. And if you didn't, by all means, give it a thumbs down. Not once, not thrice, but twice. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next one. So if you've enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell icon. It's really important to us and you won't miss out on our future content. Now, if you want to support the channel, by all means, consider becoming a patron on Patreon and you get things like early access to our videos on YouTube. Either way, we hope to see you out on the tracks.